Hi and welcome to the Journey to a Dream podcast, which is brought to you by Kawasaki Insurance and features interviews with people who are integral to road racing here on the Isle of Man, whether it's because they take part themselves or whether they support other people in being able to do so. There are so many people to go back and listen to, and each has a really different story, but essentially the same love, which is just road racing. And that's where we are today with our guest, another one recorded during MGP 2024. There is no doubt that this rider absolutely loves being here in the Isle of Man. Let's hear from him now.
Hi, I'm Damian Horan. I'm from Athlone in Ireland. I've been racing about 15 years, mostly on roads. Manx Grand Prix competitor since 2015. Bikes and, road riding and stuff like that has been very big, especially in my hometown and all the area. Like everyone rode bikes, everyone chased by the cops and all them sort of things and messing about. Like when we did, we used to go to the road race and at home, we'd go to the road race and we'd spectate, we'd watch, and you kind of go. Back then you could hang your legs over the ditches and safety was sort of optional, but it was fantastic, And then I think it was in 94 we decided we'd come to TT. Back then it was wall-to-wall motorbikes. You couldn't walk on the paths. It was tree deep everywhere, and there was the people you only read about, because obviously no internet. The people you read about in magazines and see on the telly occasionally, they're right in front of you, and it was jaw-dropping. We came probably every year, myself and my brother, and then loads of other friends of ours and stuff like that. We pretty much every year until 2010 maybe, when Nobles Park used to be pitch and putt course. We used to camp there, and just over the fence is the race paddock. So you get up in the morning with your hangover and you can wander around and get a bap, and you can go and talk to your Joey Dunlops and all your guys, and it was just, it was amazing.
And at what point then, Damien, do you go from watching people go around the mountain course to thinking, I'm going to do that? It
was a funny one, really. I never really had much intention of racing, and just rode bikes all the time. We went everywhere on bikes, went to work, went away at weekends, went everywhere on motorbikes. I was involved with Roger Marr, who's a former TT rider. I was involved with him from back 2005, 2006, helping him on the Irish roads and spannering for him, and he did his first TT in 2007, and we were over, and then 2008, 2009, but he came over here to live first full time, like the end of 2008, and I ended up with one of his superbikes.
I love that. You ended up with it.
Well, I ended up with one of the bikes, and I kind of went, all right, I might do a track day on this, and then I'll maybe sell it or something like that. And it's probably the worst thing I ever did, because I did a track day on it in Mondello Park, and that was it. That was in October, I think, and the following March I applied for my licence and decided to go racing. And most of my family went, especially my brother went, oh Jesus Christ, so that's where it started from. And I think it was in 2009 I did a full season of short circuit superbike, and then the following March I applied for a road race licence, and at the time the road race committee gave me a junior sport licence. It came in the post, and I just laughed and I went, I'm not small and skinny and 5'2", so me on a 250 or 400 was ridiculous. So I just posted it back to them with a letter saying thank you very much. I said, but I just can't fit in one of those. They obviously got a bit of a giggle out of it, because they posted me back a senior sport licence, so I could race 750 then, or 600, 750. So that's where I started. 2010 then did one road race, my local one in Walderstown, on a Ducati 749 belonging to a friend of mine, Paul Swords, and that was it. I went, right, I have to go road racing. So that's pretty much where it started. The following year then, on a 750 Suzuki that a friend of mine gave me, we went road racing, and you'd normally get a few years at senior support level, and then you progress. But that year it was myself and Derek McGee and a few guys like that, and after the first year they just chucked us into the nationals and went, right lads, you're having too much fun there on your own, so to put us in with the big boys. So from 2012 we've been in there in the national roads trying to fight for positions along with the big established riders, and it was a big learning curve, but it was great. It's not like you had an excuse, but you're always the underdog. You're riding a 750 against thousands, you're a national level support rider, but it was great. It just brings you on so much, and you're sharing a grid with all of those guys, and that was when road racing was probably nearly at its best over in Ireland, especially. There was racing every weekend, or most weekends, June, July, August. there was only one weekend there was no racing, you know, so you were never at home, and I don't know how you afford it because we never had any money, but you just managed to do it, and it was brilliant.
What is it about it? Is it the speed? Is it the skill? Or is it the community? There must be something that is fundamental to just drawing you into this and just making you think, I don't want to do anything else.
Don't know about the skill bit now, but
we have to be fairly skilled, because it was interesting. I was talking to it was Damian Crook who said this when we recorded our latest podcast, and he said people look at road racers and think we're absolutely crackers, but actually we are, and we have to be, some of the most calculated people, because you can't go out there and not know what you're doing.
You get a lot of that, actually. People say to me, including people quite close to me, go, something wrong with you, you're mad. But short circuit riders generally ride 100% and a lot more, and they have the gravel traps and this, that. Sometimes you see some of the best road racers, and they're in the BSB paddocks, they're in the Irish national short circuits and all that, or any country. They don't seem to do as well as the short circuit riders, because you have to, as part of being calculated, you have to hold a little bit back. And, you know, anyone that says, right, I'm out in road racing and we're giving 105% and this, that and the other, it's not the way to do it. Like, you have to have a little bit in reserve in case something happens. You use it when you need it. But it's very hard to turn that off in a short circuit. And you kind of come in from qualifying a short circuit and you go, I rode like a Mary there. I should have done this, should have done that. But it's hard to get out of that mindset. But when you come here, then you go down Bray Hill for the first time, you know exactly what the bike's going to do. You know exactly, you're not on a level surface, you're on, it's like a tarmac motocross track, and you just go down there and a bike bucks and weaves and does whatever, and you go, happy days, because you know exactly what it's going to do, because you've built it. You've really good guys. Like I've guys behind me there now, you know, that, you know, even helping us with the motors, like the Slick and Alistair Cowan and all that really help us when we come over here. And Mark Arnott with Motor Shocks at home, we come over here and Arnie puts a suspension setting in the bike. I say to him, what am I going to do with that? Leave it alone, it's fine. But there's the confidence there that that bike's ready to go road racing. And when you go down Bray Hill, you can feel everything, and it's not doing that, and it shouldn't. You know, you have that little bit in reserve, but you don't feel like you're a lunatic or you're this and, or you feel safe. You know, you're in your own little bubble. Different people, a lot going on in their heads and a lot going on in their minds and stuff. But when you put your helmet on, you put your earplugs in, you put your helmet on for that 37 3/4 miles, or that even at home shorter, for that little time, there's nothing going on except the focus of exactly where you need to go, exactly where you need to brake, exactly what you're doing. So no matter what's going on in your head, for that time when your helmet on, when your visor on, there's nothing going on in your head. It's like, I used to do scuba diving years ago, and when you're at the bottom of the Irish Sea or the bottom of wherever, there's nothing, only quietness and the sound of your breath. And it's not eerie. Some people say it's eerie, but it's very peaceful. And it's the same with that when you're out on the bike. You're talking to yourself and you're listening to yourself. When I was learning the TT course here, Davy Morgan, who's sadly no longer with us, Davy put hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of miles into teaching me this course. And we came over during the winter, we came over off season. We used to stay with John Batty up the road there, and he'd give us a car and we'd go do laps and laps and laps and laps. And even now, 2015 was my newcomer, even now when you go down Bray Hill and you're out on the track, I can hear him talking to me. I can hear him in my head, because he had it was like a droll, very calm way of explaining stuff. And if you did 10 laps in the weekend, he'd explain the exact same thing the exact same way, and it sticks. Any of the Irish guys that you ask that Davy would have helped, it's the same thing. You could listen to so many people or think, but what he said always stuck. And I can still hear it going through certain places and that, and you can hear him in my head telling you, do this here, watch for this and all that, and it sticks.
How far ahead are you thinking when you're out on the course?
You're at least 4 or 5 corners ahead, at least, because you can't ride the course as you see it. So many late apexes, so many blind corners. You can't ride as you see it, because then you're completely on the wrong line somewhere else. So you have to know when you go down, say for example you go down Carramortal and Tramon and all that, right, and your eyes are popping like that and you're flat out in top gear, you have to know that there's a little red sign there, and you have to be a little bit away from that, because that's where the curb is, and a little bit away from this hedge and this, because you can't really see clearly. It's just, everything's blurry, but you have to know, bang bang bang. So but when you come to the end of that, then you have a few corners ahead for K3 and all that. So people come over here as newcomers, and it has to be a learning year, because you can't come over here unless you're exceptional. You can't come over here and set the world on fire, because there's so much to learn. There's so much to learn. You have to go away going, I'm happy with that, but I could go faster, you know.
Obviously, it's a physical thing to go through, but mentally, after you've done all your qualifying laps, trying to get in as many as possible, and then you go through a race, and however many laps the race is, you must be absolutely drained, mentally and physically.
Yeah, mentally, you do be a bit drained. You sometimes come in and you couldn't string a sentence together, because your head's just trying to process what you've just done, or trying to remember stuff, or just the adrenaline's just coming down. Mental fitness is a big thing. You have to do the homework. I hadn't been here since last year, and I hadn't done a lap, you know, up to really. We did a lap the other night in the van, myself and Liam Chalk, at night, just keeps out of the pub. But that was the only lap we'd done, like, so you have to, you remember year and year, but you have to sit at home and you do the onboard laps. I have the onboard laps going on. It's Milky's lap with Johnny Barton, and I put it on the TV in the workshop when I'm working the bike, because you can hear what he's saying, and it refreshes in your head and stuff like that. But you also have to be bike fit. Like, I couldn't, if next door's dog was chasing me now, he'd definitely catch me, so I wouldn't run very far. But when you're racing at home and you're doing stuff like that, you know, you have a certain amount of bike fitness, and it's completely different than ordinary fitness. You don't need to be in the gym and pumping iron and stuff like that, you know. You need to be cardio type stuff. That helps.
Do you think you could put a figure on how many laps you've done of the TT course?
On a bike or altogether?
Just generally, well, you're talking about doing the practice laps as well. If you think about your van,
I've probably done hundreds of laps, like, because we used to come over here. I was supposed to be a newcomer in 2014, and then I had a big accident in Armoy and put me out of action for 6 months.
What happened?
I got clipped by another rider in a qualifying session, and it put me into the bales at Church Benz. I broke a load of bones, and I broke my leg in 5 places, and I broke my ankle and my knee and a load of ribs, and shattered my collarbone and stuff like that. But that was I was all geared up for 2014 as a newcomer, and then that literally got swept out from under me when I had the accident. So yeah, I ended up in a Galvin hospital up in Derry, and then they moved me down south to another hospital, and I was in hospital for, I can't remember, weeks and weeks, and then I had to move back home with my mum, because my right leg was in bits and my left shoulder was in bits, so I couldn't do it. And so I have very fond memories of moving back home with my mum and my sister, and they were looking after me. Probably not so fond memories for them, because they had to put up with me and listen to me, and I was 4 months in a cast up to my hip and I could do nothing. Then another 2 months with a smaller cast, I still could do nothing. So it was kind of 6 months just taken out. We had prepared for 2014. It was only, I think, 2 weeks after I got the cast off in start of February, I went back into the short circuit just to see, was I able to ride the bike.
That's hard to compute for some people. So you've been through a really significant physical trauma, but yet as soon as you can, you are back on that bike.
Oh, I did. I said it to my brother. I said to him, right, I think it was the second week of March, I said, there's a short circuit meeting in Mondello Park. I said, go and do a bit of racing. He said, you're a numpty. So off we went, did a couple of the Superbike Cup races, finished fairly well, and I went, right, go to the Manx.
Obviously you've been geared up for 2014, and we sort of touched a little bit about the finance involved in that, and that must be a really difficult thing as well when you've got everything sorted. We know how much it costs to get here, particularly when you don't live here on the Isle of Man. Was that okay, sort of transferring all of that sort of stuff over?
Funny enough, 2014, the one that didn't happen, spoke to the Manx Grand Prix organisers. Well, they knew anyway, because, you know, it was a big accident, so they knew, he's not coming back. Doc John, who was our travelling medic at the time, God rest him, he's passed. The hospital reckoned I would have had serious issues with my leg, and that, you know, he actually set my leg, all the brakes on the track while I was lying there. They managed to take my leathers off without cutting them, because one of my local bike shops, Brendan Doyle Motorcycles in Athlone, he had sponsored me to sell leathers, and it was my first time to wear them. I said to Doc, I says, don't cut the leathers, and he says, I have to, because of all the brakes. And I says, can't. I says, because he won't give me another set. But they managed to get them off without cutting them. I think I might have passed out a few times, but they didn't cut them. I used them for many years. I ended up having to throw them out because there's a funny smell coming out of them. So you kind of get attached to stuff like that. But I think that year I actually wasn't ready for the Manx in 2014, and I didn't realise it until I came back in 2015 and put everything into it, right, get back. It's nearly like I had a point to prove to myself, you know, I'm not as sore, I'm not as injured as I think I was. You're still worried when when you've broken bones, stuff, that you're kind of worried, are they stronger, are they weaker? You don't know. You know, I had a motocross bike with a kickstart on it. I sold that because I said, I'll never kickstart on a bike again, because I'd be afraid of breaking your leg. And I still, 9, 10, nearly 10 years on, I will not kickstart a bike, because you're still afraid, and it's probably fine. But I had a few people that were very good to me, you know, that helped me out. and they just went, right, it's always next year. And that was brilliant, So when I came into 2015, I actually fully realised I wasn't ready in 14, and we did more laps, myself and Davy Morgan and Trevor Matson, who used to we used to come over, and a few guys, James Chalk and all that. We'd come over weekends. You'd do laps, maybe a few pints and stuff like that. And you kind of realise then, yes, you're ready to go now,
What do you remember about sitting on that start line, just preparing to go on your newcomers lap in 2015?
Funny, there was a guy came over with me. He was a former Irish road racer, John Walsh, very experienced rider, and he came over to help me in 2015. I took off for my newcomers lap, and we got all the stuff from Milky, and he was giving us all the great advice and the whole lot. The bike I had just been racing it all year, and it was absolutely perfect. Never touched it. You know what I mean? As in, suspension was grand, perfect. And went down Bray Hill, did the newcomers control lap, and I came in and straight into the awning, and I went, bike doesn't handle, everything's wrong, I can't ride this thing around here. This is just a disaster. And I want to change this. And John said to me, he says, no, we're not touching that. And I says, you're not listening to me. I says, I was on the bike, and he says, you just rode around behind someone else. You've hit every single bump on the track. He said, go out in your first proper lap, and if you still feel like that, we'll change everything. So I went out that evening for my first lap on my own. The guy taps you on the shoulder, the guy with the beard that used to, and he just gives you that confident little tap on the shoulder, and off I went. And did my first ever lap on my own, did a second one, and came in and pulled the bike into the Park Fermé, and he says, don't touch anything. So it's just the experience that you didn't have, that when someone kind of goes.
And how incredible to have that trust to listen to what he was saying.
It was, because he said when you're at speed, your front wheel doesn't touch most of them bumps, and your back wheel skips over them, and I was I didn't fully understand that, because I had never rode a bike easy behind someone before, and if he wasn't there, if I changed everything, it would have been a disaster, be all over the place. So it is great. You do need, and we have, especially a lot of Irish guys over here this year, and some good Irish newcomers, and some really good prospects for the future coming over here, and they all have the advantage of the experienced riders. And I'm not just saying myself and all them guys. They have Mark Arnott there, Motorshocks, that looks after our suspension. He helps most of the paddock. He's here. There's a dyno guy from back home, John O'Grady. He's here helping guys, and there's so many people here that help us at home, and then we all try and bounce off each other. So it's a community, and it really helps, and it makes a difference. It's like when you're kind of going, oh, I'm going to do this, that, and that. There's always somebody to give you a little bit of a mental hug and go, be fine.
And clearly, Damian, it's that, as well as getting the chance to ride out there on your own at speed, that keeps you coming back. Oh yeah, I think sometimes at home the stress of getting bikes ready and trying to find the money for entries, ferries, everything is very expensive to get. By the time you have got off that ferry here, you're broke in more than one way. You're a broken man, but people closest to you and all that probably understand more of an illness than an obsession, but everyone around you, they support you, and they do everything to basically make your dream happen. But we're the ones that get the benefit of it. You start planning when you get off the ferry in Dublin on the way home after last year, and everyone else is going, oh, thank God, maybe you might give it up, or thank God that's it for another year. But your head is going. And when you go down Bray Hill and you head out in the course on your own, if someone gave you £1 million, you couldn't fully explain to them what that feels like or what it means, So I think that's what keeps bringing you back. And also, I suppose, it's a really changing scene, and we've seen that in the past couple of years at home for you with regards to the racing over there, with the all insurance issues and whatever. It is back home, like for years and years, there was maybe 3 or 4 road races in the north of Ireland. But in the south there was maybe two in June, there was one on every weekend in July, there was 1 or 2 in August, and then you go to Manx Grand Prix. Now, because of insurance reasons and possibly plenty of mismanagement and things like that, there's nothing. There's no Southern Road races. This year is the first year that the short circuits are back with Mondello Park and the Master Series, which is great, but there's no road racing. And if it keeps going on like that, then the guys that normally would have come from short circuits that wanted to be road racers and stuff like that, they're going to go and do something else, or they're going to lose interest. We're going to lose potentially some amazing talent. Like, we've Irish guys over here this year, newcomers,
And I suppose I focus on the Irish guys because we all know each other. There's some great newcomers over here this year and guys that were newcomers last year. And what's going to replace them when they're not newcomers anymore? Because there's a huge void. We're lucky enough. We still have, we had Cookstown this year and Armoy up the north. Hopefully we'll have Tandragee back next year. And there are things that need to happen. But you guys living way down the country and all, it's very hard for them to come whole way up the north for 1 or 2 road races, you know, when you had 7 or 8 of them on your doorstep, you know. They either need to sort that out or road racing is dead in Ireland, you know. It'd be a big shame because there's so many good riders coming up. And you see that yourselves because when you're out of Southern and when you're here for the TT and all that, you see the guys coming through, you know.
As I say, here we are then. It is Tuesday of MGP qualifying week and you've got your team here. So you got here a little bit earlier. You like to get here and sort of get set up and do a few laps. Head to the pub maybe?
Yeah.
So who have you got with you?
I have my brother, Colin. He comes with me nearly everywhere when we're going racing and that.
Does he still call you a numpty?
Yeah? Oh, he still calls me a numpty, yeah. And a few other choice words. But I'm sort of immune to it at this stage. And then we have my son Kevin. He's 23. He comes with me. He's been sort of indoctrinated into this nearly from birth, you know.
Is he a rider?
No, he rode motocross from about the age of 5 to 11, and then started playing rugby till he was about 18, and then went to university in Galway. So he's taking a bit of a break from it. He'd love to go racing now, but
how would you feel about that? Do you think?
I can't be. What's the word? Can't be hypocritical. Yeah, I couldn't go, oh no, it's too dangerous, this, that and the other. He's very capable, you know, he's very capable, and he'd be well able for it, you know. And a couple of years ago we were out doing a track day in Montello Park, and I was out in my superbike, he was out in the 750, and they took him out a novice in the first couple of sessions and put him straight into the advance with us. And it was only really a second time out there now, and he was very good on a bike now, but going great all day. And the last lap of the last session, he high-sided the bike and nearly wrecked himself. And it was funny how things were, you know. It's just one of those things, you know. It was 2 weeks before Cookstown, put the bike back up on the bench, and he was just devastated because he was going, oh, I can't believe I just wrecked the bike. Because he had said he had come into a corner and he felt like he had gone into a dip, and then he was in midair. And there was 2 racers, one in front of him, one behind him, that went, he didn't actually do anything wrong, he just got launched. It was only when I got home I realised the spring in the rear shock had snapped, which made the bike collapse and launched him. And I think if that didn't happen, it possibly would have happened to me in Cookstown 2 weeks later. So some of these things happen for a reason, you know. So we were lucky there. I also have a friend of mine with me, Nola Mara. He moved out to California back when I was only a young fella. So he's 28 or 30 years over there, and he's moved home now. And so he was with us last year, and he came this year. And then Andy McAllister, who, as you know, Andy is a Manx Grand Prix competitor. He's not competing this year because he's recovering from an injury, but he arrived on Sunday morning, so he's here helping me as well, so which is great. My partner is arriving on Thursday morning, so Julie put manners in everyone when she arrives.
She into bikes?
Loves bikes.
Does she?
I have her bike here. It's actually outside.
Oh, is it? Yeah. What does it mean to you to have all these people supporting you, as you say, doing your thing, doing really what it is you love?
It's amazing. It's pretty special, you know. If I'm honest, it's a very selfish sport. It's all about the rider, it's all about this and all about that, and sometimes I can imagine it can get very frustrating for people, but they love you, to support you and stuff like that, and it can't all be about motorbikes, but especially sometimes, you know, it just, your head gets immersed in it, and you sometimes have to take a step back and go, right, the world doesn't revolve around the garage or the bikes and all that. But
do you have any other hobbies?
Do I have any other hobbies? I don't understand the question.
I'm always curious as well as to how many bike parts you've got around your house as opposed to just in the garage, or are you quite organised?
Funny enough, I used to live in the south of Ireland, living at Athlone and stuff like that, and then I started spending more and more time up around the north there where Julie lives, and she had a lovely garage beside the house where she could put her car and her motorbike in, and it's really nice, and house full of my bikes and stuff.
Cars on the drive, yeah?
Oh, cars on the drive, yeah. That's waterproof. Yeah, I've kind of infiltrated that, you know, but she's quite understanding.
So in terms of what it is that you still have to achieve from road racing and, you know, I guess your overall aim, have you got one? Is it just enough to just go around there and do laps, or is there something in your head that you want to do?
I always said when I came over here, I had 2 things in my head I wanted to do. I wanted to either stand on the podium or do 120 mile an hour and get into the Tommy Club. That's what keeps bringing me back. Lads are getting faster, the competition is getting hotter and hotter all the time, and I'm not getting any younger, but I always said it, if I did a 120 mile an hour lap or stood on the podium or anything like that, that's me, I wouldn't come back. You have to be happy when you get back in that ferry and get home and you've had a good Manx. I didn't have a good Manx last year. I ended up getting helicopter to Nobles and stuff like that, and most other years you come home, you're contented, right? I rode as hard as I could, or I rode as hard as the bike would allow me and stuff like that, but there's a want. There's just a bit of a want there, and you like to think if you got your goals you'd go, right, I'm done and that, but I haven't got there yet.
And in terms of your sort of sponsorship and the financial support this year, is it the same people who are supporting you?
Pretty much is. I have a small band of people that help me out, apart from a couple of guys down Tipperary direction, Martin Long and Jim Minogan. Every year they just help me get here, you know. David O'Sullivan down in Cork. There's so many people, you know. Enda Green, he's a local contractor in Athlone, you know. People like that.
And you got your new leathers?
Got me new leathers, yeah. And, you know, Sean Gilbride there, he's in Motor Factors in Ballyman. He get oil and get parts, get stuff. There's just so many people. There's just a long list of people. There's a guy there, he's coming over this week, Ollie Carter. He's a lawnmower business, and he said, what do you need? How can I help you? You know, stuff like that. It's fantastic. Obviously, when we come to the island, you have people like Alistair Cowan and Slick, Mark Arnott at home, Moda Shocks, Shane Morgan with the Dyno, and all these guys. Everybody helps you, know, every single person, you know. Even down my partner's mum, Caroline there, they have an off licence in the village and that, and they help me with financial support and kicking the arse if I need it and stuff like that. So it's just, there's so many people you forget. And, you know, my brother's here, he works for himself. You know, he's to take 2 weeks off to come over and call me an umpty, and my partner there has to put up with me 12 months of the year. It's huge. You get so many people, especially when it comes to the Manx and Irish roads as well, but especially when it comes to the Manx, people are invested in coming and helping you out and kind of going, what can I do, you know, which is brilliant, because as a privateer, if you're to try and do it all on your own, and you try and do as much, you need to be willing to spend every penny you have before you ask someone else for something, you know. And I'm very lucky where people come up and they go, what can I do for you? What can I help you with? Makes it possible, I suppose.
Damian, we lost the Monday qualifying session because of the weather. You'll be well used to things like that now. Do you handle that okay? Are you all right sort of hanging around waiting for things to get going? When
I started coming here first, if you lost even one session, if you were short lapped, or if you lost a session, or Gary Thompson, and I can't even remember who he used to be before Gary Thompson, he leaves you in no doubt, like, you know, and it's always on the side of safety. So there was times when you were here years ago and you kind of would question some of the decisions and go like, really? You could be down to your box shorts here, it's that warm. And he's saying, oh, we're not going because of this, that and other. When he comes on the tannoy and tells you this, you know it's for a good reason, you know. Years ago you were devastated because you missed that lap. You just wanted to be out there all the time. If they just closed the roads for the whole week and let you go as much as you want, you'd go. But now you kind of go, right, there's a reason for it. We got short lapped at the bungalow the other day, and then for the second red flag, unfortunately, we got as far as Governor's Day. But you have a plan, right? You're going to go out in the 600, then you come back, go in Classic Superbike and all that. It doesn't happen. It's a little bit of frustration, but you just have to think, right, they have to have a contingency here. We have to get a certain amount of laps, and you just have a bit of patience. It's very frustrating, but you just have to have a bit of patience, you know.
And one of the other things that's changed over the years, Damian, is the fact that people do expect riders to have a little bit of a social media presence and keep people up to date with how they're doing. Are you up with that sort of thing? Do you enjoy doing that side?
I'd be on Facebook and stuff like that, you know, and it's nearly an old person's social media now, isn't it? Because everyone is tweeting and Xing and Instagramming themselves half to death. But to be honest, I'm very bad at keeping up stuff. I probably should be better, but you live life with what's in front of you. And I think, see guys going around, I even see in the paddock there, fellas going around, and they're walking around the paddock and they're looking into their phone and they're not seeing what's going on around them. And on social media, they're the most interesting people in the world. But when you stand in front of them, they haven't got two words to put together, you know. So maybe that's just an age thing, you know, but I'm desperately bad when it comes to social media, you know. Finally,
if someone's listening to this, Damien, and they're thinking, you know what?
He's a numpty.
I'm going to get your brother a T-shirt, I think, the numpty's brother. Do you think they'll know who you're talking about? But if they're thinking road racing, it's something that I wonder if I should give it a try, what would you say to them?
Absolutely. While we still have it. while we still have it, it's nearly the last bastion of freedom. I still go down Bray Hill, and I mentioned Bray Hill, I suppose, because that's the first big dip, and it's by far not the scariest one. You go down Bray Hill, and I think every other road racer here on the island would probably think the same thing. You're flat out around the course, and you're this, that, and that, and you're going, how are we allowed to do this? At some stage, this is going to be banned, or it's going to be made illegal. Some numpty going to go, oh, this is illegal now, we have to wrap these people up in cotton wool and we're not allowed to let them do it. At home, we're in danger of losing our crop of up-and-coming riders, and historically Ireland has produced some of the best, north and south have produced some of the best road racers that ever sat in this island. But yeah, go to your ACU, go to your local clubs, get involved with your local clubs, because that's another thing that hasn't been done at home. Riders are complaining and teams are complaining, they're going, oh, there's nothing happening, there's nobody doing it. They don't turn up to their meetings. We're all guilty of it. You don't turn up to your local meetings, you don't have your voice, and then when it's taken away from you, go. So if people want to do that in the UK and in Europe and all that, there's not as much road racing, so it's short circuit based, and then they learn the craft over here with Milky and his team and Johnny Barton and all that, you know. So yeah, get involved, go and do it, because you'll be full of regrets otherwise when it's gone. And if Bray Hill isn't the scariest, where is the scariest part of the course? Oh, is it? Oh yeah, there was no hesitation there. Oh, the bottom of Vigara, yeah. Every time you come down you go, oh, Jesus. When you get out the far side of it, then you go, oh, that wasn't that bad. But then you come to it the next time and you go, oh, Jesus. Damian, it's been brilliant talking to you. Thank you so much, and we wish you all the best for this week, and let's catch up again soon. Thank you very much. Damian Horan, or Numpty, as his brother likes to refer to him. And actually, do you know what? Numpty is something Damian is certainly not. And great to hear about his journey here to the Isle of Man. Also wonder whether maybe his son will be featuring at some point in the future. It does sound like he's extremely talented as well. Thank you so much for downloading this episode of Journey to a Dream, which is brought to you by Kawasaki Insurance. You can find out more about them by going to kawasaki-insurance.co.uk. And if you'd like to be part of the podcast, then I'd love to hear from you. BethSB@manxradio.com is the best email address. And until next time, take care. Bye-bye.